My wife and I have been married for 5 years, and, to our common regret, we began to notice that we were drowning in routine and everyday life. Every day I repeated the previous one: work, watching a movie in the evening, sleeping. On weekends, we sometimes went out somewhere or went to visit, but over time, these outings began to resemble repetitive actions and ceased to bring at least some pleasure. On the contrary, after all these outings, we returned home tired and realizing that we had wasted the weekend. And if they stayed at home, it all came down to useless lying on the couch or bed, watching TV programs or tapes on the internet. How? How could it happen that in just 5 years of living together we lost the excitement that was with us at the beginning of the relationship? Maybe it's not about family relationships, but about ourselves? Maybe we just got older? Have you lost the enthusiasm of youth and youth? Where are the years going? And every year time flies faster and faster. If, as a child, the summer holidays seemed to me to be a year long, so many things could be redone. And in my student years it was also, couples dragged on for an interminably long time, and over the weekend with friends managed to visit several places, go hiking, hang out at the club and not get tired at all during this time. On the contrary, on Monday there was always cheerfulness and a great mood. And why do we always dream of growing up? In kindergarten we dream of going to school faster, at school we dream of university, at university we dream of adulthood. It seems to us that adults have more free time. Well, they went to work, but no homework, exams, tests. But, having entered this very adult life, you realize that there are much more worries and it is easier to write a report or pass an exam than to live an adult life. But my thoughts, most likely, say that I have really aged. But I decided not to despair, because we are still young, we have our whole life ahead of us. Look, people in their 40s and 50s are just starting to live, they get married, have children, move to other countries, change their profession. We should try to find something good in our life, do something, move, and not drown in the quagmire of everyday life. And so, with the onset of summer, my wife and I decided for a long time how to spend our conscientious vacation. Go to the sea? No. Some kind of sanatorium? Also not that. We live not far from the Sea of Azov, and there it is not far to the Hot Key and the Black Sea. No. We decided to completely update the environment around us. Margot and I have always liked the way some people travel by car. Our country may not have such gorgeous highways, but there are no less beautiful and amazing places, and maybe more. How much ancient architecture, natural places. So we decided to fulfill our dream. Nothing will brighten up life like traveling around the country. Margot and I looked at the map in advance, noted amazing natural places, architectural monuments. We were strong and confident in our decision. We bought a mobile home. This acquisition has further increased our enthusiasm. We were already overwhelmed with emotions from one purchase of a mobile home. Immediately at the entrance there was a table with a corner sofa, the driver's and passengers' seats turned towards this table. There was a TV above the corner, on the left there was a sink and a tile working from a small gas canister, a narrow corridor, a toilet and shower along the edges, a refrigerator, 2 beds on a hill, lockers for things under them. My wife and I were delighted with this house. It cost almost like an apartment, but it was worth it. You can live in it. The preparations for the upcoming trip were scrupulous. We tried to take everything we needed. We have warned all our relatives about our journey. And full of anticipation from visiting new places, we set off on the road. If only we knew that our journey would exceed all our expectations by so much that it would scare and almost make us forget about it. The very first incident happened to us between Volgograd and Saratov. We were impressed by the Volgograd region, saw several architectural monuments, the Karsak Monastery, the house of Baron Germini, the wooden 2-story house of merchant Kurbatov, visited Lake Elton, the Volga Mortuary, monasteries, the Medveditsky Ridge, the Shukshinsky Forest, the museum, panorama, Battle of Stalingrad. We spent 2 days on all this, but we were very impressed. Of course, there are still many attractions in the Volgograd region, architectural, natural and historical, but we decided to visit the most accessible, in terms of location, and the most popular. Margot really liked historical monuments, merchants' houses, wooden huts, ancient settlements. She was always fond of archaeology. And so in the afternoon we set off. Saratov was waiting for us ahead, which also has something to surprise the traveler. At the entrance to Saratov, the road went among fields and meadows. It was beginning to get dark. We didn't calculate the time for the trip a little. Well, never mind, we have a mobile home. Therefore, we decided to move off the road, since there was a nearby exit with parking for travelers like us. Margot cooked a simple dinner, I took a shower, and we had dinner at a folding table outside. Dinner in nature, outdoors is something with something. Appetite wakes up brutal, I'll tell you. After dinner, we wanted to sit out in the fresh air, but our plans were disrupted by mosquitoes, who were hungry for human blood in this wilderness and attacked us with the same appetite as we attacked our dinner before. How good that we decided to arrange such a trip. I am already so impressed with the first city on our way, and what will happen next. That's for sure. And what kind of nature, tell me? Although there are forests in our region, they are not like that. Here they are mighty, like living beings. I answered my wife when we were already in bed. Our windows were equipped with mosquito nets, which gave us the opportunity to sleep, enjoying the fresh air and the coolness of the night. I was already half asleep, the long road made itself felt, when I heard my wife's quiet and frightened whisper. Yura, someone is walking there. I listened. Who can walk outside? The nearest settlements are 15 kilometers away. Unless someone saw our house and planned to rob it. It's good that I locked the door out of habit, but the windows are open. I took out a gas canister and straw mat. What if it's a bear? Do you think there are bears here? We talked in whispers. I told Margot to stay where she was, and I crept up to the window and looked out. It was pitch dark all around, there was no moon in the sky. It felt like we were sitting in a box. It is in cities that there is light from the illumination of buildings, house windows, shop windows, lanterns. There was nothing here in the middle of the highway, just darkness. I listened again. There's definitely someone walking around our van, and not just one person. In addition to the steps, there was a horse breathing, like that of asthmatics, with a whistle. If they were robbers, then why were they circling around? They would have climbed in long ago while we were sleeping. It was like an incomprehensible procession, a round dance around our shelter. And then the handle on the door began to slowly go down and up, someone was checking the door. I froze. Margot gave a little gasp. I would have asked loudly, who is there, but the words stuck in my throat. For some reason it seemed to me that it was impossible to betray my presence. In no case, it is necessary to be silent and sit quietly. I turned to my wife and put my finger to my lips. Margot covered her mouth with her palm. I listened again. The door handle stopped moving, the next sound was. I don't even know how to describe it. Run your palm over the smooth metal surface, someone was probing the body from the outside. Like a blind man exploring an unfamiliar place by touch, maybe they were looking for another entrance. My eyes darted to the open windows, and I rushed to close them, but I tried to do it as quietly as possible. How timely I did it. Literally after a few seconds, a hand was passed over the glass, then a fingernail, and a characteristic nasty sound was heard. And the sound of the mosquito net tearing. It may sound strange, but at the same time, nothing was visible outside the window, even the hands that drove and knocked on the glass. I sat down next to my wife, and we sat in an embrace, quiet as mice. We were so shackled by fear, animal fear, that we were even afraid to breathe. All these steps, breathing, rustling on the body, knocking on the windows continued all night. And as soon as the first rays of the sun broke through this unsightly darkness, all sounds disappeared. Margot and I sat for a long time and were afraid to make a sound. We decided to leave our house only after we heard the sounds of passing cars on the highway, birds singing. Before that, everything was filled with silence, as impenetrable as that darkness. Barely alive from the horror we experienced, we got out and began to inspect the body and the place around. Considering the trampling that sounded all night, all the grass around should be trampled. But we didn't find any traces other than our own. But the body, on the dusty body of our house on wheels, traces of 4 fingers were clearly visible, and the mosquito net on all the windows was torn. So, we definitely didn't imagine it, someone really walked here at night. But we didn't want to find out who it was, nor did we want to stay here even for a few minutes. We hurriedly got into our mobile home and set off, trying to get as far away from this place as possible. We stopped only an hour later at a local gas station. We bought ready-made coffee in the store. You look pale. Passing through our area? The saleswoman, obviously a local resident, asked. Margot, apparently, needed to share her horror with someone, so she told the saleswoman everything. It doesn't matter what she thinks of us. This is the first and last time we see her, unless we stop here on the way back. Although I have already questioned our further journey. And if we go back, it will definitely be the other way. But the saleswoman was not so surprised. You are lucky, seeing our puzzled faces, the saleswoman, Olga, continued, I mean, that you are alive and unharmed. No one ever stops on that section of the highway. A lost place. There are frequent accidents, often fatal. Our local and permanent truckers always try to drive that part of the road only before dark. There were cases when tourists and travelers stopped at the same site for the night, and in the morning they found only their cars with the doors wide open. The people themselves have not yet been found. Old people say that there used to be an ancient Slavic cemetery on this place of the highway. And then they leveled the ground and built a highway. But you didn't know. We left the store impressed by the story of the saleswoman. But there are many such places in our country. I've read about some. I also heard about some. But many seem to me like a fairy tale, a horror story. And now I don't know what to think after tonight. For the next few minutes we drove in silence, each thinking about his own. But it turned out that we were thinking the same thing. You know, maybe we'll visit a few places like this. But not the ones where people disappear. And which ones? I glanced at my wife. There are few such places. I can take a look. Mounds, mysterious buildings, lakes where tourists are taken and where it is not so dangerous. I'm for it. It will be more interesting than just looking at old buildings. That's what we decided. But this morning our further journey was in question, now we decided to make it even more interesting. There will be something to tell friends and family. This is not a photo in a reconstructed hut of the 17th century with the life of peasants.